Have you ever watched someone preparing for a role, not through rehearsals or reading lines, but in that quiet, almost sacred moment before they transform into a character? Today, we invite you behind the scenes of Tan Songyun's latest costume drama. There's no Shukai beside her this time. No playful glances, no couple chemistry. And yet, this might be the most enchanting we've ever seen her. The dressing room is calm. A soft glow bathes the space as she sits still, eyes closed, while the makeup brush glides over her flawless skin. Her hanfu, layered in pale blues and earthy tones, flows around her like water. Hairpins glint softly in her jet black hair, each one delicately placed to complete a look that speaks not only of ancient beauty, but of grace and strength. This isn't just a woman preparing for camera. This is an artist stepping into a world beyond time. And in the silence, in the absence of her usual co-star, Tan Songyun speaks louder than ever. Stay with us as we uncover the layers of this moment. By the end of this video, you'll see Tan Songyun not as part of a famous pairing, but as a force of her own, a woman rewriting her image in a way no one expected. 2. When stillness becomes a statement. There are moments behind the scenes that go unnoticed, no talking, no flashing lights, no exaggerated smiles. Just silence. And yet, sometimes, it's that very silence that steals the spotlight. Tan Songyun did just that, not with a script, not with dramatic flair, but simply, by being present. No one pushed her to perform. No one told her what to express. And yet, in her own quiet way, she commanded the space. The behind-the-scenes camera captured what was supposed to be a simple makeup session, but every brushstroke across her cheek, every adjustment of her hair, every layer of her costume told a much bigger story. A story without words, but with emotions that echoed long after the video ended. Her hanfu wasn't like the extravagant ones we often see. It was rustic, textured, and dyed in muted shades of teal and slate. The fabric looked as though it had traveled through time, worn, soft, lived in. Was she playing a wandering swordswoman? A hidden noblewoman in disguise? A village healer with a secret past? No one knows for sure. But even without context, the costume suggested a character layered with complexity and depth. It wasn't going to be an easy role. It would demand soul, subtlety, and full immersion. When she gently bowed her head and closed her eyes, you didn't just see an actress getting ready. You saw an artist stepping between two worlds, the world of Tan Songyun, and the world of the woman she was about to become. It was a sacred transition. A quiet shedding of self. A step into someone else's truth. There was no background music. No dialogue. Just soft lighting, quiet breaths, and the gentle hand of a makeup artist. Yet, the silence wasn't boring, it was captivating. Because in that stillness, Tan Songyun was already telling a story. A story of a girl who is strong, composed, and so deeply authentic that people couldn't look away. Have you ever asked yourself, what truly makes someone captivating? Is it grand gestures, or eloquent speeches? Or is it the ability to hold someone's attention with a single look, a quiet presence, or an honest moment? For Tan Songyun, this wasn't a filler moment. This was the moment. And she owned it in her own way, gently, effortlessly, and beautifully. 3. No Shukai, no distraction, only transformation. Shukai's absence in this project certainly caught fans by surprise. For a long time, Tan Songyun had been paired with him, on screen and off. Their chemistry, their banter, their behind-the-scenes moments, it all fed into a beloved image of them as a perfect duo. One glance, one laugh, one playful comment was enough to send the internet into a frenzy. So when she appeared alone in a new period drama, naturally, fans began to speculate. But what was even more surprising? She didn't seem diminished at all. In fact, she looked more powerful. more commanding, more complete. Let's ask the hard question. What happens when a female star, long known for her chemistry with a partner, decides to step into the spotlight alone? Will she shine? Or will she be eclipsed by the image fans once adored? Tan Songyun answered that question without saying a word. Every glance she cast at the mirror, every subtle shift of her hands as she adjusted her robe, every breath she took while waiting for her makeup to set, was proof that she could carry a story entirely on her own. Here's something sharp-eyed viewers may have noticed. She didn't treat being alone as a weakness. She turned it into an asset. Without Shukai next to her, all eyes were on her. And she didn't shrink from that spotlight. She stepped into it. In an industry where female actresses often struggle to escape the shadows of their male co-stars or public pairings, Tan Songyun showed us another way. Don't explain. Don't defend. Just express. Let your work speak. Let your presence answer the question for you. One fan wrote in a forum, "I used to love Tan Songyun for her sweetness with Shukai. But now, I admire her for her silence. For the way she doesn't depend on anyone. For the quiet fire in her eyes." And honestly, I think that sentiment speaks for so many of us. So what about you? When someone you admire breaks away from the familiar, from the image you've grown used to, will you support their growth? Or will you cling to the past? Tan Songyun didn't just walk into a new project. She walked into her own power. And she did it with grace, poise, and an elegance that didn't demand applause, but deserved it all the same. 4. The strength in her eyes. In the final moments of the clip, the camera lingers on her as the makeup artist steps away. Tan Songyun opens her eyes slowly. And in that one look, barely half a second, there's fire, depth, and something else entirely, purpose. She doesn't smile. She doesn't need to. Her gaze is steady, regal, as if she already knows where the story is headed, and she's prepared to carry it on her shoulders. There's something mesmerizing about a woman who doesn't ask for the spotlight, but earns it in silence. Who doesn't pose, but simply becomes the story. And that's exactly what Tan Songyun does here. I saw a fan comment on the video, "It felt like watching a painting come to life." And that's not an exaggeration. Her presence is a blend of elegance and resolve, traits that often go unnoticed, but never unfelt. So here's my final question to you. Do you see her differently now? Is this still the Tan Songyun you knew from her romantic dramas with Shukai? Or has she evolved into something more? If her strength and stillness moved you today, show her some love, leave a comment, share this video, or simply sit with that feeling for a moment longer. Because sometimes, the most powerful stories don't need loud music or dramatic tears. Sometimes, they begin in silence, with a woman looking into a mirror, becoming someone else entirely. And that, right there, is the real magic.